What's up, guys? It's your girl Mareesa, aka Egypt Divine, reporting in for another segment. And as always, I ask that you like, share, subscribe, and comment as it helps the sisters YouTube channel grow immensely. And last thing, as always, make sure you hit that notification bell below so you can get all the updates from my latest content regarding music, vlogging, podcasting, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I ain't come to play today. The subject is like really heavy on my mind. I've been wanting to talk about it. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about breaking generational curses slash patterns. When I say curses, of course, I don't mean a witch cursed you or a god or whoever, whatever you believe in. I don't mean somebody just came and cursed you like that. But I mean generational curses and patterns in terms of generational curses and patterns. That shit you need to get rid of. So why is it so hard to break them is the first question. And I think that it's very cut and simple. It's very simple. It's hard to break something if you're not aware of it. If I'm not aware of my habits or my negative behaviors, if I'm not aware of my generational, patterns that have been passed down and that I'm now passing down into my children or whoever, how can I change it? When you know better, typically you'll do better. I'm not gonna say you know better, you do better, because that's not always true in this case. But that brings me to my next point. So many of us don't even know much about our identities. I mean, like our grandkids, I think they'll have it made because if I have a child or a grandchild or a great great grandchild, whatever, they'll be able to look on the internet and find my trace. And if YouTube and social media are still around, they'll be able to, find something about me and see how I look and how I sounded and whatever else. However, I can only go back as far as my grandmother. And luckily I was close to my mom and her mom, so I know a lot about them, but I didn't know anything about my dad's dad, and I hardly knew anything about my birth father at all. So, with that being said, I only know part of my identity. I know who I am, but I don't even know exactly what I am. So it does get confusing when you're trying to go and break these curses and you're like, shit, I don't even know. I don't even know what half of them are, what half of these patterns are. But for example, for me, I always kind of looked at my birth father and how he was in and out of my life and was like, if I ever have a child, I would never do that. I saw that as a young girl. But as I got older, and I was wise enough to understand the things that were going on around me because my mom never down talked my dad. She, gave him a chance to be around, whatever. And, she's like, it's your choice, it's your decision. If you want to, whatever you want to do, I support you. So after being disappointed by him so many times, at first I was angry and I took it personal. And, it's still personal, but now that he's deceased and now that I've had time to do some healing and some introspection and some processing, I've realized in the process that, he is who he is and that he could only move, love, whatever from his capacity, from his viewpoint, from his level. So even though he's older than me and he should naturally be more mature and he might even be working and making money and he can drive and go drink and do whatever legally, my emotional capacity may be higher than his, or my level of compassion and consideration, whatever it is. So, you start to see little things and you might ignore them, or you just kind of say, okay, this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. And so you really start to introspect and you say, oh shit, like this is really a problem. So by the time I got to my 20s, which I lost my father when I was 24, by the time I got to age 21, I really truly realized that, alcohol and partying were an issue for him. And I'm a very honest person, so I am, telling y'all my story, and I hope that, like I said, it inspires some people. Everybody's not brave enough to get up in front of people and vibe with them and give their story out and be honest and vulnerable. And I'm willing to do that because, I know somebody can relate to this message. So back to my point, he had a issue with partying and drugs and drinking and things like that. And by the time I got to age 21, I already didn't like drinking, but it was a big fear of mine. And, I don't know if I don't like drinking because I always put that in my head or what it was, but I'm already breaking a generational curse for myself just by not being a party animal and a drunk like he was. You know what I mean? So you can follow in your parents' footsteps. You cannot follow in your parents' footsteps. You can do whatever you need to do. But at the end of the day, you're going to realize even if your parent is the best person in the world, they don't have the total manual for you as a person, because you have to figure out what you're going to like and where you're going to be. They can tell you how to be a good person, but they can't tell you how to be you, though. Only you can just be you. Like, it's just something you have to do. You can't describe it. Can't tell you how to be me. I'm just me, right? So same thing with that. Like, I took it personal with him for a while, and then I was able to just analyze and say, you know what? He's operating at this level. I'm going to forgive him, and I'm going to make sure that I align myself to where that's not me. That's not my reality, because it's not what I want for myself. Now, if that works for him, that works for him, but it doesn't work for me. So I need something else. And once you start to take, like I said, it can still hurt, but you start to take the personal attachment out of it, you're able to move through these barriers much easier and just say, you know what, it is what it is. Like, yes, I'm a victim, but it is what it is. And I have to do what I have to do to keep moving and be the best version of me. And change is super uncomfortable in any situation. I'm going to be talking about change a lot. Like, y'all are going to get tired of me talking about change and self-healing and transformation, but it's so important. And, you know, I can't think of a time that I've had to go through change where it wasn't uncomfortable. I'm just being honest. But, you know, to get to peace, sometimes you got to go through a little bit of pain. Just saying. I'm not saying you have to. Life don't have to be painful. Love don't have to be painful. But, you know, you can't just get things how you want it when you want it all the time. It's just not the way the world works. You know, sometimes I wish it did, but it would probably be boring, like I said. So, you know, shit just works the way it does, and you have to learn to accept it and not resist things. And I'm somebody who likes to resist things. I'm a Capricorn. I'm going to resist that change if I can. But once I finally realize, like, okay, I'm just being stubborn, or I'm, you know, compromising myself or my needs, like, all right, now I have to stop being stubborn, and I got to move out my own way. It goes back to my last segment, moving out your own damn way. It all gets tied up together. So once again, with these generational curses and whatnot, if you're aware of them, good. But then it's like, okay, well, what's the next step? Because, all right, are you aware? Yes or no? If you aren't, go look in the mirror. If you are, all right, well, this brings you to the next thing. What the hell are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That's the question. What are you going to do about it? Because if your intent is to be different, then you have to align your actions and retrain the way you see and you think about things. And breaking a generational... Oh, wow. I'm wondering why my computer is not charging, y'all, because guess what? It wasn't plugged in. I go through this way too often. But I'm glad we made it this far. All right, we're back. Technical difficulties. But yeah, generational curses do not have to be, or patterns, let's say patterns. Generational patterns do not have to be something that's totally negative. I think about the women in my family, and, you know, that I come from some really great women, but at the same time, they're givers. And sometimes as empaths and givers, we don't have boundaries. And we're just trained to think like, oh, we just need to do good for people. We need to show compassion at all times. And that's a good way of thinking and being. But at the same time, I can't be kind and compassionate at the cost of sacrificing my boundaries, or sacrificing, you know, the best versions and parts, or the happiest parts of myself, or my peace, or whatever it is, right? So as I look at the women in my family, they're very successful, very smart, you know, very independent and all of those things. But for myself personally, I have to make sure that I'm setting the boundaries to make sure that people don't walk all over me, because I used to be a walking doormat, and I have a backbone. I will curse you out. I will tell you about yourself if I need to, but I'm very forgiving. I practice forgiveness, and I still will give somebody the shirt off the back at the end of the day. You know, even if I don't like you, if I see you on fire, I'm going to put the fire out. I might be thinking in my head like, aha, but, you know, I'm going to put the fire out. I ain't going to let you burn, even if you're my enemy. That's just me, you know, that's just my heart. So there's nothing wrong with being like that. being kind and not wanting to see bad things happen to others, or being forgiving. But like I said, at the same time, how much do you have to forgive, and how much do you have to sacrifice your boundaries? And at what point do you stop blaming other people, and do you start taking accountability with yourself and saying, you know what, even though this person is crossing this boundary and I love them, even though what they're doing is wrong, even though whatever, I still have a choice to say, you know what, you're messing with my boundaries right now. I'm not going for this anymore. And it takes practice. So the first time that, you enforce your boundaries, it's hard, right? And the second time, you might feel guilty. And the third time, you might still feel a little bit guilty, but you start to feel better. And by the fourth or fifth time that you're enforcing your boundaries with whoever it is, an employer, a coworker, a family member, whatever, once you start enforcing those boundaries, it comes easier and you don't feel so bad when you say no. For me, I feel bad when I say no to people. And now, I felt bad. Now I'm to a point in life where I don't mind being alone. I don't mind saying no to people. I don't mind enforcing boundaries. I don't need to drink to get drunk. I don't need to do heavy, hard drugs to be happy. And, it took me to look in the mirror and look at these things and say, okay, these are the things that I want to become. These are the things that I don't want to become. These are the things that I like about my family. And these are the things that, it might not be a curse, but it's a pattern that I don't want for myself. And then, you take that accountability. But like I said, most of us don't even take it to the first step, which is even acknowledging that there's a problem. It's one thing to change, but how can you change if you don't know that you have a problem in the first place? So, it's a balance, like I said, and self-love can start on any level at any place, whether it's just, you taking an extra hour once a week per month to, read your book, or if it's taking that new class, or if it's not down talking yourself. But whatever it is, you have to break these generational patterns, or these patterns that you've made for yourself, I mean, how often would I go to the gym before it becomes a habit? If I go to the gym for about a month or two, it could become a habit, right? So if you talk bad to yourself for 30 or 40 years of your life, it's a habit and you got to break it. But the first step in that, like I said, is taking accountability and realizing that, yes, you are a victim. Yes, you've been through things. You can be kind to yourself and patient with yourself. And you don't have to be mad at yourself and be like, oh, I should have did this. I should have did it sooner. It's not that. But it's just taking accountability to say, you know what? Okay, at this point in my life, I take control. I want full control of my life. And I'm not going to give anybody, the ability to not allow me to flourish. And I'm not going to allow myself to be stagnant. I'm going to allow myself to flourish. So like I said, whatever it is, it just takes looking in the mirror, a little bit of accountability, and then it takes that real soul searching and soul work to figure out, what it is that you need to shed and what it is that you need to grow into. But, it's not an overnight process. Like I said, it's going to be something that's going to be painful. It's going to come with, maybe shedding some family members or friends, or maybe, your job field, whatever it is. It might come with you shedding some shit. But at the end of it all, that version of you that comes out, at least in your book, which is all that matters, is a step higher than that version. But it took you, going through that groundwork, and you kept, trying to take the elevator, and the elevator kept getting stuck, and you realized, damn, the stairs would have took a little bit longer, but I could have made it that way. You know what I mean? So we don't get places by just avoiding things or acting like they don't exist. It really takes accountability on another level. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you're the bad guy, but it just means that you have to be like, look, this is what I no longer tolerate. This is no longer what I accept for myself. And these are the things that my soul aligns with. So that is my rant about breaking generational curses. Like I said, if y'all like this, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for making it this far. And I will catch y'all in the next segment. Peace.